Hello and welcome. Today, I'm going to do a movie recap regarding a 2018 American black comedy, crime thriller film, A Simple Favor. The movie is based on a 2017 novel of the same title. Warning. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the recap, everyone. The movie starts with mommy blogger, Stephanie Smothers, played by Anna Kendrick, a single mother in Connecticut, makes a video for her mom vlog, Hi Moms. Before she begins with her recipe, she updates viewers on an ongoing case involving her best friend, Emily Nelson, who has been missing for the last 5 days. Stephanie admits she has not known Emily that long and met her at their son's kindergarten recently. Stephanie is always volunteering and contributing to her son, Miles' class, to the point where some other parents think Stephanie is making them look bad.
You bad parent? I'm kidding.
We're terrible parents.
After school, Miles wants to have a playdate with his friend Nikki, Emily's son. Stephanie first meets the sophisticated Emily, played by Blake Lively, when she goes to pick Nikki up, and, at the boys' pestering, Emily agrees to the playdate and invites Stephanie to come over for drinks.
What on earth are those two going to talk about?
Stephanie arrives at Emily's stylish home. She is stunned to see a graphic nude painting of Emily hanging on a wall. Emily is blunt and rather crass, even telling Stephanie to stop apologizing. Stephanie explains that she is a widow after her husband and brother were killed in a car accident. Emily's husband, English professor, and one-time author Sean Townsend, played by Henry Golding, arrives home and meets Stephanie while he and Emily kiss passionately. Stephanie says she has read Sean's book and enjoyed it. However, when Sean left, Emily notes that Sean hasn't written a thing since the first book 10 years ago and that they are close to bankruptcy. While taking the boys to the park, Stephanie snaps a photo of Emily for the school's yearbook. Emily firmly orders Stephanie to delete the photo and does not explain why. Stephanie meekly obliges. At Emily's house, the two have martinis and trade secrets. Emily tells Stephanie of how she and her husband got into a threesome with Sean's teaching assistant. Stephanie then tells a secret of how, after her father passed away when she was a high school senior, she met a son he had from another relationship, named Chris. In her grief, Stephanie turned to Chris, and one thing led to another, leading a shocked Emily. Emily calls Stephanie and asks her for a simple favor to pick up Nikki from school, because she has to take care of some work business, while Sean has gone to London to look after his injured mother. Stephanie obliges, but she can't get in touch with Emily.
For Dennis Nylon Holdings, leave a message or go fuck yourself.
Hey!
After 2 days, Emily hasn't come for Nikki. Stephanie calls Emily's job, and is told that Emily flew to Miami to handle something. Stephanie gets in touch with Sean to inform him. He says that, when Emily knows Nikki is with someone taking care of him, she will disappear for a few days. He returns home the next day for Nikki, and speak to the police about Emily, who has been gone for 3 days. Stephanie takes it upon herself to find out what happened to Emily. She goes to Emily's work in New York City, and meets her overbearing boss, designer Dennis Nylon, who dismisses Stephanie's concerns. Stephanie sneaks into Emily's office, and finds a black and white photocopy of an unflattering photo of Emily. Stephanie is spotted on her way out of the office, and Dennis threatens her. Stephanie hits back, with some sass of her own, to get Dennis to back off. Stephanie then uses the photo of Emily to make missing flyers. Detective Somerville later visits Sean, to inform him that Emily was not on any flights to Miami. After a few days of Emily being gone, Stephanie's viewership has increased, and one of Stephanie's vlog viewers sends her a message, stating that she may have spotted Emily driving in Michigan. Authorities go by a lake where the car was spotted, and sure enough, they fish the car out of the lake, as well as Emily's body. Sean is called in to identify the body, and he breaks down. A funeral is held for Emily. Nikki and Miles get into a fight, when Miles says that Emily is in heaven, and Nikki yells at Stephanie, claiming that she is trying to be his new mom, and Nikki yells at his father that he is a loser, as his mother said. Sean reacts angrily, but Stephanie diffuses the situation. After the reception, Stephanie and Sean console each other. Stephanie speaks with Detective Somerville, and is in disbelief when told that Emily's autopsy showed that she not only had severe liver damage from alcohol abuse, but heroin in her body. Detective Somerville also tells her that Sean took out a $4 million life insurance policy on Emily, right before she died. At dinner, Nikki insists he saw his mom that day at school, and when told by Sean that he merely thinks he saw her. Nikki retorts that she spoke to him and told him to say hi to Stephanie. Growing suspicious, she asks Sean about the life insurance, which Sean says was Emily's idea after learning that Stephanie lives off her husband's insurance, so they were thinking about Nikki, in case something happened to either of them. Shortly after, Sean convinces Stephanie to move in. After Stephanie empties Emily's clothes from her large walk-in closet, she is startled to see all of Emily's items suddenly return to their same spots. Stephanie begins to believe that Emily is a spirit who is worried about being replaced. While she is driving the boys home from school, Nikki gives Stephanie an envelope that he says is from Emily. Stephanie opens it and finds a picture of Stephanie with her family and Chris, with brother fucker written on it. Stephanie then receives a phone call from Emily, mocking her, and tells her to kiss Sean 4 million times for her. Stephanie continues to dig into Emily's history. She tracks down the artist of Emily's nude portrait, Diana Hyland, who claims that she was once in a romantic relationship with Emily, but her name was really Claudia. Diana then gives Stephanie the one thing Emily left, which is a t-shirt for a Bible camp, called Squaw Lake in Michigan. Stephanie visits the camp and gets old books with pictures from past campers. In the book from 1996, she finds many pictures of twins, Hope and Faith McClandon. After contacting numerous people with the name McClandon, Stephanie manages to find Hope and Faith's mother, Margaret. Stephanie disguises herself as a cleaner, and then sits down to ask Margaret about her daughters. It turns out that, when Hope and Faith were 16, they burned down the east wing of their home, with their father inside, and the two vanished without a trace. Stephanie makes a vlog calling out to Emily, forcing her to reveal herself as being alive.
Crazy fucking bitch.
It's like looking at an angel, isn't it, Moms?
Emily meets a shocked Sean at the restaurant they always go to on their anniversary. Emily expresses her disdain that Sean had been going out with Stephanie, and appears to threaten Sean with a gun. Emily meets Stephanie in the cemetery, by her own grave. Emily tells Stephanie her side of the story. Emily, who is really Hope, and her twin sister, Faith, burned the east wing of their house with their father inside, because he was abusive. She notes that she was actually a triplet, but their sister Charity was stillborn. After the fire, they ran away from home and planned to meet up elsewhere, but Faith never showed up. After 16 years, Faith contacted Emily to meet up at the camp, where Emily found that Faith has become a heroin addict. Faith tried to blackmail Emily, and Emily drowned her in the lake and used her body to be found, so that Sean and Nikki can get the life insurance money, since they were broke. Stephanie then brings in an insurance lawyer, who tells Sean that, since it was discovered that Emily had a twin, the insurance company is hesitant to pay the full amount, especially since it is a large amount of money. Emily steals a wrench and tosses it into the air, so that it hits her in the eye. She walks into a police station to make it look like Sean beat her and forced her to fake her death, as part of a scheme to frame Sean for insurance fraud. Sean is investigated, and later taken into custody, but released on bail. Stephanie comes in with a gun, and pretends to shoot Sean, but Emily already knew of everything of their plot. To get her confession, and cut the mics, the police planted. She takes out her own gun, and shoots Sean in the shoulder for real, while also confessing to the murders. Stephanie then reveals that she has a hidden camera on her blouse, and that her viewers have all seen Emily's confession. Emily attempts to escape, as Stephanie goes after her. Emily draws her gun on Stephanie, but she gets slammed by a car, driven by Darren. Moments later, the police arrive to arrest Emily.
Just relax.
The story ends 6 months later with Stephanie's vlog has hit 1 million viewers. She continues to provide recipes and home remedies, and is now investigating cold cases. Emily was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but she has adjusted to prison life nicely. I hope you enjoy another episode of our movie recap. Until next time.